I recently decided that my word for the rest of the year will be enchantment. I need enchantment back in my life. So I made a list of ways that I can bring enchantment into my home and into my heart. And here's some of the things I came up with. Games, cards, cooking, baking, reading, music, movies, walks, boiling cinnamon on the stove, a wreath on my door, lights inside, candles, baking apples, stretching and yoga. All these little ways that we can bring enchantment in and joy and play. I decorated for Christmas already. It's still 7 weeks to go, but I needed it early this year. And working with our hands is really important. It's a great stress relief. So a lot of these things on my list involve working with our hands. I just knit my friend a baby blanket. That really helps me to work through anxiety, and it's a release. So joy work assignment for you, a list of ways that you can bring joy and enchantment into your home, into your heart, into your life, and slow down for the rest of the year. It's time to go inward and hibernate and nurture your dreams and your heart and take care of yourself and restore, rejuvenate, recharge, all those great words. Re-energize, reevaluate, right? What did you achieve this year? And I'm not talking work and money. That's part of it. But personal achievements. What did you achieve this year? Did you become a better listener? Did you connect on a more truthful level with a loved one? Did you balance your rest with your work? These little personal achievements. What did you achieve this year? And what are you focusing on moving into the next year? I've never done New Year's resolutions. I don't think they work really, but I do think that the end of the year is definitely a time to think, to plan, to look at how far you've come. I think the cycles of the seasons are useful for us as a way to mark the time, because life moves in cycles. We move in cycles. Our lives do not unfold in a straight line. They are cyclical. And we need those cycles throughout the course of a day. We need the cycles of an hour, of 24 hours, of a week, of a month, of a year. Cycles are how we move. And to embrace that the way that nature does, instead of fighting it, is really helpful. So I want you to think about that as we move towards the holidays. Speaking of resting, my God, have I been busy. Oh my God. The Lucy Walsh Studio has launched 2 new programs for you. The first is the Play Like a Prodigy piano course. This is a digital piano course that I created especially for you who feels that you are too old to start playing the piano like you've always wanted to, or that you're too busy to commit to a weekly class. I created this for you to study at your own pace, in your own home, on your own time. I'm pouring everything I know as a musician into this. It's the only investment you'll ever have to make in your music, and I've designed it that way. Right now it exists at about 12 modules. We're 4 modules in, and the feedback is extraordinary. People are having a great time, and they are saying that it is easy to digest, it's easy to understand. So yeah, it's really in depth, but I have broken it down into very easy steps for you. So that's one thing. There's an exclusive enrollment window opening again before the end of the year within a few weeks. I said I was only going to do 1 enrollment period, which filled up really fast. but the demand is so high that we are opening one last enrollment window. So if you want in on that, go to lucywalsh.com and click Prodigy. Get on the list to be notified for when that enrollment window opens. It's only going to be open a few days, so jump on that. The second program I've launched is the monthly membership, and that puts you on the inside with 4 live workshops a month with me, 1 a week. There's joy work included, journal prompts, exclusive manifestations, life hacks, and so much more. Each workshop is a different life transformational topic, and it's a lot of fun. So get on those 2 things now on the website. All right, before we get into the meat of this episode, we are going to draw our angel card. Everybody close your eyes. Think of each other. This is our shared energy. Communication. Communication. There's 4 little angels, and they're all talking on the phone. They're all connected, as we are all connected. This is a shared communication, whoever you are, wherever you are. So today, if your health is important to you, if optimizing your diet is exciting to you, if your physical well-being matters to you, you're gonna wanna hear this. Dr. Autumn Smith is on the show today. She is a dear friend of mine. She has been there for me in some very, very challenging times in my own life, which you're going to hear us speak about a bit. This woman is a powerhouse. Not only is she a certified eating psychology coach and certified in functional diagnostic nutrition, but she went on to get her master's in holistic nutrition and now her doctorate in holistic nutrition. Dr. Autumn Smith is the co-founder of Paleovalley with her husband, Chaz Smith. You've probably already heard of Paleovalley. Everybody's talking about them right now. Autumn and Chaz launched Paleovalley with the belief that everything you eat is an opportunity to either detract from your health or improve it. And the company's mission is to create products that live up to their strict quality standards and always prioritize health over profit. Paleovalley creates products with integrity that are free from problematic ingredients and promote vibrant health. If vibrant health is on your mind, is important in your life, you have got to listen to this conversation I'm about to have with Dr. Autumn Smith. Autumn's passion about what she does is infectious. Not only is she busy as a wife, a mama, a friend to so many, including me, but she's an entrepreneur and she's got other endeavors like Wild Pastures Burger Company in Boulder, Colorado, and her new docuseries Rethink Meat is out in January. I can't wait to see it. I invited her on the podcast today because what she has to say is super helpful for all of us who are concerned with our health. And she's been generous enough to offer, this is really exciting, a Paleovalley discount code for my podcast listeners of 15%. So that will be in the show notes. There is a Paleovalley discount code just for you, just for podcast listeners. I have all the products from Paleovalley. They are in my kitchen. I eat them daily. I take all the supplements. I'm crazy about these products. So I'm passing it all along to you. I'm going to put all the resources and all Autumn's links in the show notes so that you can connect with her and with her company. And I'm just so excited for you to join this conversation that Autumn and I had recently. So all my love to you. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Autumn Smith.
I'm a Virgo. I just had my birthday.
Happy birthday! I think I saw on Facebook and then I forgot about it.
Dad threw me a football birthday party. It was cute. He just wanted to have people over for football, and it was also my birthday party.
A bastard. Have a cupcake in the corner.
Exactly. But I got to leave early for a massage, so I was like, whatever. It's cool.
Nice.
It's cool. Yeah.
Welcome to the show, my love.
I'm so excited to be here, Lucy. You're one of my favorite humans. Quite an honor.
You are too, and I've been dying to interview you officially for a long time now. So I forced you to come on my new podcast, and I'm gonna interview you like official style.
I'm
You
pretty excited about it. I'm a big fan. I love your old podcast. I love this podcast.
I was recently listening to my favorite podcast, the Joe Rogan Experience, and I burst out screaming when I heard a commercial for your company, Paleovalley.
Isn't that wild?
I couldn't believe it,
I know.
especially because I've followed you on your journey of creating that company over the last decade. That's what I want to dig into today. But I'm going to try not to ask you questions that every other interview asks you. I read a lot of interviews of you online, and I think I'll be able to switch it up for you today so that you're not repeating yourself.
Love that, Lucy Walsh. I wouldn't expect anything else. Wherever we go.
I'm going to talk about how you've personally helped me because you saved my life, and I'm not joking. And I'm really interested in hearing your input as an entrepreneur. You completely turned your life around from the way it looked 10 years ago. And I don't know if that's been unexpected for you or if you always had this vision, but I've entered into entrepreneurship as well with creating my coaching studio. And I'm obsessed with being a woman who's creating my own company. And that's what you're doing. You've done multiple times now as well. So your two companies currently are Paleovalley and Wild Pastures.
And then we also have a burger restaurant called Wild Pastures Burger Restaurant here in
I
Boulder.
didn't know you had opened a burger restaurant.
Yes, well, I mean, we have an amazing general manager named Brandon, and so we're not in the day to day, but the concept and all of that was ours too, with another partner.
Oh my God. Congratulations.
Yes, thank you. Chaz and I, that was like stage 5 when we set up our little plan. Here are the things we want to do
Yeah.
with our lives together.
My husband and I are on the carnivore diet, basically. We are on an animal fat rich diet for the most part. We're not really having any vegetable at all, or starch, or carbs in terms of bread, and no processed sugar. Our dessert every night is a milkshake of organic berries and banana and heavy whipping cream.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's amazing. How do you feel?
incredible. But
Well,
you
yeah.
swooping in and helping me change my life was the start to that. So I want to go back to how we met, and then I want to hear about your life and kind of the seasons that you've gone through to get where you are now, which is me just randomly hearing you on the Joe Rogan show, which is the top of the top, the highest you can get. You're
Oh,
just creating an empire one step at a time. So you and I know each other because your incredible husband, Chaz, was my guitarist for some years. And him and I had a lot of fun playing together. And those were very special times for me. And,
mm.
uh, and that's how I met you. When you two got married, you invited me to your wedding. What year was that?
2011.
2011. At the time, I was in an acting class that was, in fact, a high control group. The acting coach was a narcissistic abuser, and the whole shebang was under the umbrella of a cult of Scientology. So I was not doing well. And for reasons that I won't go into right now, that narcissist acting coach had a real thing about us not going to weddings,
Isn't that
not
crazy?
really going to family functions of any kind. So so I missed like every one of my best friends' weddings around that time. But for some reason, I fought really hard to get to your wedding, which was in San Diego. And I drove down and I actually missed the wedding because I was in acting class all day, but I got there for the reception. And it just meant so much to me to get there. And it was such like an injection of light for me. Where were you in 2011 professionally?
Ooh, professionally, I think I was working for Tracy Anderson at that time. I was, yes. So I think actually I left for tour with Jennifer Lopez a little after just Chaz and I got married. But yeah, I was working for Tracy Anderson, doing the Tracy Anderson method. I was a dancer before that.
Tell me about your dancing.
Oh, yeah. So I basically was a ballerina my whole life. And I was trained by some people from the Bolshoi Ballet. And my parents literally drove me 2 hours every weekend of my youth to study with this guy named Renat Musafarov. And so they wanted me to move to Russia when I was 16, but I declined because I wanted some semblance of a more normal life. So once I was in a modern company in college and then moved out to LA, did some dancing for like a Disney artist, worked in modern companies, and then got really sick of what all artists find is the unpredictable poor pay for dancers. So Tracy Anderson only hires dancers. She
Oh,
likes people with a very strong connection, or at least at that time. And so I was in a dance company rehearsal, and one of my friends said, "Oh, you should I'm working for this woman named Tracy Anderson. She trained Madonna. She's got some celebrity clientele. There's an audition today. You should go if you want to make a few extra bucks." And I was like, oh, I would like something a little more stable. So I auditioned, and it was funny because I had no idea about her clientele really. I had heard, and then one day she's like, "You're gonna go to Monica's house." I was like, okay. And so actually it was Courtney Cox. Okay.
Monica's house.
So yeah, so and I mean then just all of her celebrity clients. I mean, I got to work with some of the most wonderful Victoria Beckham and Molly Sims and Jennifer Lopez, of course, and just on and on. Robert Downey Jr. So yeah, I worked for her for about 5 years, and that's where I was in 2011 when I met you.
Wow. And I remember you going on tour with J-Lo. Had you gotten your master's in holistic nutrition yet, or was that still?
Well, this is interesting, Lucy, because Chaz, my husband, her guitar player, he's such a visionary. I don't know if you knew that about him, but when we got married, he's had us sit down and say, what do we want our lives to look like? Let's be very intentional. And what we decided is I felt so grateful, right, for working for Tracy Anderson, but it wasn't conducive to a lifestyle where we could move our own direction, right? Because going on tour, you're kind of just wherever they need you to be. I was away from him for 7 months. And so when I went on tour, we had already planned that I did a little schooling when I was on tour. So I moved in that direction on tour because I was in a hotel room a lot of days. So I was studying at that time for my master's and my eating psychology certificate so that when I got done, we could move in that direction together. Because that was our vision after it was his idea to change our diets. And he's the reason that I even looked to food and to change my diet at all. That was Chaz.
Wow. How did you and Chaz meet?
Oh, the pig and whistle, Lucy.
You did?
Yes. This is so funny because I had moved back from Las Vegas because I danced in Las Vegas. I wasn't stripping, just dancing in some shows, and not that it matters, whatever you want to do. But
What if you were?
yeah, whatever. Yeah. My brother was a show boy too. So I was like, move to Vegas. He's like, if you want to make money as a dancer, like you could come here. Anyway, it wasn't for me. I had just moved back to LA and I was sulking because I'd been broken up with. A boy had broken my heart. My roommate was like, please get out of our apartment. Go to the show at the Pig and Whistle. I just met these guys. I think you'd really like them. And I was one of probably like five people at Chaz's show with another artist, Diana Gone Wrong. And when I walked in, I saw him and he just came and sat down next to me right away afterwards. And that night we decided we were going to be best friends. And
Really?
yeah, I sent him a MySpace message that said BFF, and he said, I knew I had you. I knew I had you when you sent me that. And of course, Chaz had dreams. He wanted to be a musician and not be tied down so he could travel. And so it took about a year for him to realize I was worth it. There was another guy that kind of came in the picture at the very end. And when he saw us together, he did not like that. And so he decided to commit.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it takes sometimes it takes bringing in outside forces to make them do what we want.
Yeah.
How did you feel did you like, I know the typical, like, oh, I knew I was going to marry that guy. Did you feel any of that when you met Chaz, or you just felt drawn to him?
I was very drawn to him. What I liked about Chaz is, and you know this, there's wonderful people in LA, but he was very curious about me and other people. And not only is he so handsome and so talented, but like the first thing he said when he wrote back to me on MySpace was like, tell me more about Autumn. I don't know. And it was just his curiosity and his how thoughtful he was. And then he planned this very extensive date at Griffith Park Observatory where we rode the bus together. And it was just something that no one in LA had ever done anything like for me. And so, yeah, I mean, he had the tattoos and the dark hair and all that stuff that I love, but it was more about how he approached taking me out and even being so considerate. It's just Chaz is just a very special human. So yeah, I didn't know I was going to marry him. In fact, I was forcing myself to date other guys because he wouldn't commit to me,
Yeah.
and I knew I just had to move on if that's what it was going to come to. But the minute he saw me with the other guy, he went home and wrote me a song. He wrote me a song and it was gorgeous. And it was called Save the Day. And he said, ultimately, you looked so happy with him. And if that's what brings you the most joy, that's what I want for you. But please save a place for me somewhere in your life. I just want to see you happy. And then I was like, oh, come on. Well,
Oh,
come on. Well, you can't lose after that. So, so yeah, he's exceptional. I can't say enough good things about Chaz, but you know this.
I do, yeah, but I don't know him on that level. And it's really, you're so right. That curiosity
Hmm.
is hard to find. And it's a huge part of what I'm talking about in, my public speaking stuff now, based on my book, is that our curiosity is not where it should be, most people. Not only about other people, but it begins with yourself. And it's a dangerous age we live in where we're being robbed of our curiosity because everything is so instantly attainable and we don't have to search or question or dig. And
Yep.
so we're not in the habit of it anymore, I feel like. And you can feel the difference when somebody's interested in you.
Yes.
The energy comes alive, and the connection is made.
Yeah, and just interested in the world rather than judging and projecting. And that's one of the things I try to instill into our son the most is stay curious. That's like one of the most important and the smartest way you can approach life. I sincerely believe that. So yeah, that was I was like, this is very different.
Yeah. So when you met Chaz, you weren't energetically aware of your eating affecting your life to the degree that it was, right?
Oh man, I was a mess when I met Chaz. It's funny because it started when I was probably 10. I had a lot of stomach issues and we didn't know what to do with them. And so they went unaddressed. I think I had a major sensitivity to gluten
Yeah.
that we now know affects the brain profoundly in certain individuals. I am one of them. And
Yeah.
anyway, so then it manifested in anxiety, depression, substance abuse. When I was a teen, I got kicked out of my parents' house before I even graduated high school. And then in LA, I was, doing the thing, right? Doing the dancing thing, but I wasn't what I would say well. I was drinking excessively,
Yeah.
smoking a lot. Yeah, just not someone who was taking care of themselves at all.
What did you eat in your house growing up?
Terrible. Okay, so I think it's ballet was one of the main reasons because for what I was taught, it was like a calorie is a calorie. You just eat a certain amount of calories. And my ballet teachers would literally tell me, go home, eat lettuce, take ginseng, and smoke cigarette. Like
No
that was,
way. You've got to be
oh, oh, well, they were Russian and they were smoking during ballet class. Yeah, eat lettuce, take ginseng.
lettuce.
Eat lettuce, take ginseng. Yeah. And I remember I got really thin in high
What
school.
kind of lettuce?
Like, I know, it's just like salad. I think he meant like eat salads, like eat salads. And then when I got down like really thin, I remember coming and them just celebrating it, like, "Ooh, you look like real ballerina," right? Like real ballerina. I was like, "Oh, okay." So yeah, no, I wasn't eating a lot. And when I did, I'd eat candy because I thought, well, I might as well eat something I wanted to eat. If I'm kind of restricting, I needed that pleasure.
Yeah.
And so I was eating terribly. I was eating terribly. And this I maintained until I met Chaz, really. I was a fitness trainer, but I was eating terribly
Oh,
and
oh.
feeling terribly, but still like, relatively making it happen. I mean, I still stumbled upon Chaz, still able to keep a job. I was just not thriving. Let's
Yeah,
just
I
put it that way.
understand. I was the
Yeah.
same, I was the same when I met you, which is what I'm going to talk about you saving my life from. So I know exactly what you're talking about. So of course that affected your digestion, your digestive.
Which is so crazy, but no doctor said that. No doctor in my whole youth ever said you're, looking pregnant after meals or this intense stomach pain is probably related to what you're eating. No one ever said it. No one. And so even when Chaz said it to me, like, you look pregnant, something, maybe it could be your stomach, like something you're eating. I was like, oh, I don't think it could be, but yeah, no doctor had said that. It's crazy.
Was there like a breaking point where something happened that you had to change your diet, or was it just the influence of Chaz on your life?
Honestly, I would come home from work and I would cry and I would feel sad. And sometimes he would wake up in the middle of the night and I would be in so much pain I was on the bathroom floor. And he was just kind of like, we are newly married. Like, life shouldn't be like this. It shouldn't be such a struggle. And my skin was breaking out. I mean, I just was sad. I was not paying attention to myself, not taking care of myself. And it started to, become disruptive to what we were trying to create and the life we were trying to build for one another. And so, yeah, there was a breaking point. It was just like, we can't go on like this. And he was just saying, why have you never wanted better for yourself? Or why have you never thought you deserve something better? And I had just become so hopeless around it because after a while when my parents, it wasn't that they didn't help, right? We went to doctors, I went to psychiatrists, I did the talk therapy, I tried the psychiatric meds, and after a few I just started to become hopeless, and he reignited that hope and that desire for something different.
And it's an ongoing work, and I think for many of us listening, like I've done a lot of things in my life to take care of myself now, but just last night at dinner, Will yelled at me again. He was like, you need to take care of yourself in this, like, what are you doing? So I know this is like till the day we die, it's a process.
Today even I had to go down to the sauna. That's my sacred place. Just say, slow down, stop, be quiet. And I spend about 45 minutes every day just by myself with silence. Otherwise I get, if I don't have that practice, I get back into that pattern.
You and I've both studied Kabbalah and have dear friends in Kabbalah. And something I told my Kabbalah teacher one time was that in terms of self-care, I've always had this feeling of like I'm stuck in a straitjacket. And it's like a self-deprivation,
Mm.
almost like a punishment, like I'm punishing myself and I'm depriving myself of things. And last night I explained that to Will at the table because that giving myself quiet time in a day is something I'm not doing. And I'm really suffering for it. And it's like for all the changes I have made and as well as I am doing, there's still some things.
Yeah, and there's control in that deprivation, right? I feel like that was a level for me too. It was like I couldn't control a lot of things, but like what I was eating, I could. And that deprivation, that feeling somehow made me feel better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a feeling that's been with me for a long time. And he asked me where that comes from, and what came to mind was feeling as a little kid that it was my fault that my dad had left, and punishing myself for that, and
Mm.
hating myself for that, and just thinking, well, you're just worthless because if you were worth something, he would have stayed. And
Mm.
he left before I remember. I was a baby, but when I got old enough to know that he had left right
Mm.
after I was born,
Mm.
I decided that it was my fault and therefore I had no use for myself. It was like
Mm.
I just like threw myself out with the trash.
Mm.
Because they say, I'm gonna misquote it, but they say like if a parent ignores you, you won't ignore the parent, you'll ignore yourself.
Isn't that sad? Yeah, and that's what I heard this like the opposite of love isn't hate, it's neglect. It's just not paying attention.
That issue in my life is really what made me susceptible to the acting class cult. And
Yeah.
that's the situation I was in when I met you. And I was in for a decade.
Wow.
I was in there for 10 years.
And
Start
that's a really good thing. Even that 7M cult, that dance thing, I mean, like, that's a thing in Hollywood. I just didn't even realize how prevalent that was.
It really is prevalent, and there's a lot coming to light now in Hollywood, but the problem still exists where people just don't speak up. turn a blind eye and they don't want to know about it. And it's just, if it's going to fuck with what they're here to get, they don't want any part of it. So they don't stand up for things, which, whatever. But for me, where I was when you saved my life is I don't remember what year it was that you and I.
It would have been around 2017, 2018. Does that ring a bell? Because I had just moved to Colorado.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so I was depressed to the point that I was in physical pain in the morning. Before I would even open my eyes, I was crying and I was in such physical pain, and I would get up and I'd go pee like first thing. And I just remember sitting on the toilet so many times and just thinking, I can't go on. And I was in the cult and I had nothing. I had cut off all my relationships with my friends and family. I was only connected to the abuser and people within the cult. I had no money. I was borrowing from friends and family. My body was sick. I remember one night on the freeway, it was really scary because I felt like I was going to drive the car off the road. The depression became physical. I didn't want to die, but I also couldn't keep going. And this voice came to me and just said, call Autumn. And because I couldn't control anything, but I kind of like suspected that my diet had something to, like, if I found a way into like getting a foot in the door with diet, like maybe it could give me some clarity of some kind, even though I wasn't ready to get out of the cult. And I didn't end up escaping until 2020 because COVID happened and the theater shut down, and I actually had a physical window of escape. For that, I had tried to escape several times. And, if the narcissist can get you face to face, chances are you're not going to be able to leave. But I called you, and I remember exactly where I was sitting at a parking meter in Pasadena, and I just kind of told you how I was feeling, and I asked you if you could help me, and you graciously did, for basically free, which I couldn't have afforded to work with you at the time. And you did me this miracle. And our plan was that I was going to cut out caffeine, sugar, and bread, and many other things that went along with that, which you recommended to me what I was going to take supplement wise. And, we started testing my blood sugar levels and all that kind of thing. But those three things, cutting those three things out, which I, by the way, did all at once because I didn't know you were supposed to stagger it. I got like deathly ill for a week, and I couldn't even lay because all I could do was sleep, and I was in so much pain that I was sleeping sitting up.
Oh no, Lucy. Yes, you can start slow if you're depending on your
person that's just like, I'm either all in or I'm all out.
Me too. Oh
Just
no.
rip the Band-Aid off, you know what I mean? Just cutting out those three things and the program that you got me on, and then you would give me a weekly counseling session, and I would check in with you with my progress. That I consider the turning point of my depression.
Lucy, that's such a beautiful thing. I adore you, and I would have done anything for you. But I just wanted to say that I had no idea your mental health or mine could shift so dramatically because of that either. But that was such a beautiful intuitive hit that you got. And now research is actually supporting that for some people, inflammation in the gut travels to the brain, inflames the brain. At least some people can be relieved of their depression simply by cleaning up their diet and cleaning up the inflammation in the gut. It's pretty amazing because that was before we even knew that, but the research has come out and it's very clear now. That's exactly what happened to me. And even to this day, if I eat crappy, the main feedback for me, I wake up, I'm depressed the next day, specifically with sugar. If I eat a bunch of refined sugar the next day, I have thoughts like, oh, the work I'm doing doesn't matter. Like, this doesn't matter. I mean, it is the vocabulary, what I hear, the voices, they're so predictable now, but only because I know. But I know exactly the life that you were living. And I'm just so glad that we got to work together and that was so impactful for you. like I said, I think you're one of the greatest humans I've ever come across. And so to
It
play even
so
a small part in your journey is really, that's really special for me.
Autumn. It's like you're just an angel in my life, and I'm really proud to have you on today to share your brand and your soul with listeners, because this is something that's so important in everyone's life. And what you've created is so different from other companies because it's personal to you, and every ingredient that you've put into the pot of your brand is deeply personal, and you're helping so many people on a global scale now. I just want everybody to know, that my universe was completely changed, and I do consider that like what set me on the road to being able to leave the cult, because I could think clearly and I could just feel some relief for a moment so that I could like see straight. I mean, I'm a coach as well. I work with people all day long, and I know how valuable my time is, and it would be such a big deal for me to give my time for free to somebody who really needed it. And so I know, like, I don't take that lightly. I know what a sacrifice that was for you. So I'm thanking you in front of everybody. I love you. And I'm
Oh,
forever, forever grateful to you.
yeah, and Lucy, oh, I just love you. I just love you and thank you.
Is there anything I've missed that you want to say about that time?
Well, about that time for me, messy. I think what is interesting is if you had ever asked the people I went to high school with if I would end up here where I was an advocate for health and wellness, nobody would ever believe that. I was really, just a troubled child. But yeah, and like you're saying, taking control somewhere, anywhere. I think a lot of people feel hopeless, out of control. There's so much in the world we can't control. But if you can start like you did, just in one place. And what you told me that I remember so vividly was I realize I'm out of control with my eating. And I know in order to start to control something, you have to thoroughly understand it. And so I'm asking you to help me understand it. Can you help me get there? Can you educate me on this topic? And I thought that was so intelligent. I thought, yes. And if we all just did that, right? Coming back to that curiosity,
Yes.
rather than just forging forward, it's like, how do I learn more about this? And how can I apply this to my life and make myself better? So yeah, I just always thought that was so smart. And I would do it again in a heartbeat. I would always help you. And that's my mission. Yeah, that's why it became, we wanted to actually do products because I can only talk to so many people in a day. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why you have to expand it to a global level, which is what I've now done with my online digital courses instead of teaching people one-on-one, because
Yes.
we're maxed out, but the demand is still growing. And so you gotta expand. That's why expansion exists. But yeah, I knew at the time that I needed to learn about it and understand it if I was going to be able to implement it. And that is a rule that I use over and over again for everything in life,
Yeah.
including marriage. Like when Will and I got married, I said to him, let's learn about marriage. Let's read marriage, like counseling books. Let's talk to, let's like learn about it so we can do a good job, you know?
Yes. Yeah. And I think that's what set me apart too from my former self was burying my head in the sand and just repeating these cycles and not understanding.
You said, to quote you, you said, I stopped accepting my health issues.
Yes.
I love that.
Yes. Yes, it was that time that I realized I am worth an investment, right? I guess I can. And it took, someone else seeing the suffering and showing me my value for me to be like, no, they're right. We
That's
are
okay.
all worthy of that. And I think it is okay. I think that is okay. And I'm totally okay it took someone else. I think we're all interdependent, more so than we like to admit sometimes. But yeah, it was someone else helping me see that in myself that was ultimately that catalyst. But of course, I keep it going and I hold that belief today. I just didn't always.
That's what it takes. It takes somebody on the outside to look at you and go, this is crazy, right? And to
Yes.
you, it was normal because it becomes dormant, like the energy becomes invisible to you because it's just the way it is. But an outside person seeing that is what we all need. We all need it. That's why we coach people through these things, and we need coaches ourselves. I just wanted to say something about your brand and what I said earlier. Everything you've put into the pot of your brand is personal. You said about your son that if we wouldn't feed an ingredient to our son, you won't find it in our products.
That's so true. And these products are what I have on a daily basis. And the whole idea was because when I was on tour with J-Lo,
Yeah.
and I had finally realized how good I could feel. And then I tried to maintain the diet on tour and I couldn't. And
No.
so literally we
Yeah.
were just like, oh, okay, well, how do
At
we?
truck stops all the time.
Yeah, and we were the different country. One day I remember 3 countries in a day, and it was just kind of like whatever was there, it was just impossible. So I like, how do we make this realistic for people? And so yeah, we feed everything to Maverick. In fact, Maverick is one of our most important taste testers because he's so picky and he does
Don't
a
tell it like it is.
Oh my gosh, he tells it like it is. But yeah, these are the products we eat ourselves, our family, our friends. I mean, they start with what do we think we want to eat more of, and then we build from there. So yeah, but yeah, we are sticklers.
I have
Yeah.
to tell you, you sent us a gorgeous box of your products last year, and we've been on the carnivore diet for about a year now, and a huge staple of our carnivore diet is your meat sticks. And then I signed up recently for the deal you had on them, and now I get my box delivered every month, and I think I order 100 at a time for the month.
Yes.
And that's what we eat in the day. So we only eat one meal a day right now, pretty much. And in the morning, we have our coffee with our heavy whipping cream, all
Nice.
organic and raw as we can get. And then midday, we'll have a meat stick or two. I love the jalapeno ones. Those are my favorite.
Yay.
And I'll like take them with me in between clients. I'll just have one or two or three sometimes in a day. And then we have our steak and our cheeses for dinner. And
Love
that's
it.
it. So those meat sticks are such a staple of our diet.
I love that. And you know what? Dr. Drew, I don't know, you know Dr. Drew, he used to do the carnivore thing. And if you tried our bone broth, because I know I gave it to you, have you tried our bone broth protein powder?
Yes,
That's
yes, I had it recently. Yeah.
Okay, but yeah, that's what I drink in my coffee every morning. But our diet looks very similar because I just eat the meat sticks during the day and the bone broth. And then at night, I have my bigger meal because
Yeah.
I'm usually moving around doing a lot. But I'm so glad you like them. And they're different because they're fermented
Oh.
and then on purpose because a lot of other sticks have to use different ingredients to preserve them that we didn't necessarily like that involve seed oils and GMOs. So yeah, we fermented them and they're just like kind of like juicy. So they're different on a lot of levels, but I'm so glad you like them. The venison is my favorite recently. And we're going into bison
Ooh.
too now. I know. Yeah.
Oh, I love them. They are juicy. You're right. They're so good. Oh my God. But I agree with you. Because now we're so regular on our carnivore diet and I feel so good in general. But if I have a cheat day, I am a mess for like 2 days after. And it's just not worth it. Like we still have cheat days every now and then, but you
Yeah.
can feel it immediately, man.
Oh yeah, and that's I know. At least I know what's happening. So yeah, sometimes it's worth it, and you have that. Oh, okay, I know
You're like, I want this pizza.
I want this pizza. I'm gonna do it, and then I'm gonna know tomorrow I'm gonna feel a little sad, and I do, and that's okay, right?
Or
You're
I'm
gonna,
gonna want to kill myself.
yeah, I'm gonna feel like my work is worthless. It's a funny thing. It is crazy. I would have never believed it if someone told me eating terribly could make you feel so sad. But for me, there's no other variable I'm changing. It is just the food. So it's
Uh,
crazy. Dr. Drew has said something similar. And I think there is some good research that for some people that like they have more addictive tendencies and sugar and things like that are far more detrimental to their brain in terms of their mental health. And some people, they just can't do it. It's just not worth it. It's just going to change the narrative and this frame you're seeing everything through. So yeah, I think it's not true for everyone that they have to be carnivore, right? But for certain
I mean,
people,
I have conversations with vegans who swear that that's the answer. So I'm like,
exactly. Yeah.
I'm here to tell you it's better. One's better than the other. Although I do think the carnivore diet's better than the others, but
For using it, every once in a while, like after the holidays, I'll go in there and just do a few carnivore days for myself, just to get my cravings under control. Because I think that's really what it helps with. It just kind of shifts you back into a less, I don't know, like I always think of it like on the hook. Like I'm not thinking about food because you're satiated and you're
Oh
just,
my God, you're so
yeah.
satiated. And that's the thing. If I have a cheat day, the next day I'm fucking starving.
Exactly. It takes up so much time and mental bandwidth,
Oh
right?
my God.
Whereas when you just give your body, I think meat, well, I don't even know if you know this, but I did a whole docu-series that's going to come out in January. Yeah, so there's 8 episodes. I'll share it with you. But like I'm defending what I believe to be one of the most important foods for human health, right? Especially when it comes to like child development and women pregnant, like, B12, zinc, iron, all of these nutrients are so bioavailable in animal products and they have such a bad rap. And I really think it's dangerous. So, yeah, anyway, I'm such an advocate, and especially of high quality versions. I don't even know if you know this, but I just finished my doctorate and my dissertation was on beef. It was like I studied, and it's a big project that I'm very, very proud to be part of. But how does the nutritional profile of beef change based on where it's raised and how it's raised, grass-fed, grass-finished, grain-fed in feedlots? Dr. Van Vliet is who I worked with, and he just published a really cool paper. So there's dramatic differences, right? But meat at the top, my main message is it's a very important, humanly essential food that I think people would benefit from having more of and from paying attention to the quality of.
Well, the science is there and it's indisputable. So, it
Never
is.
been a vegan culture. Yeah, there's never been a vegan culture, right? This is that's an experiment, and I think some people can do better on it than others. No doubt about that. But I do think if you're eliminating meat and you're not feeling good, don't eliminate meat and maybe even try carnivore. Maybe be meat heavy for a while and see how you, but just be open, be curious, right? That's the theme of this conversation. Like tune into you and shut out everything else that you hear. It's
Yeah,
really
I
about
tried it. I was just curious about the carnivore diet because I have heard various people like Jordan Peterson and
yeah.
talking about how it cured disease for their loved ones. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to try this. And I mean, it's clear. It's clear the difference. What is your docu-series called? This is so exciting.
It's called Rethink Meat. And people were just writing in to us because we have that meat delivery service and they were unsubscribing. And when they did, we'd say, why? And they say, oh, well, we have to go meat free for the planet, right? And because it's bad for us. And so we thought, okay, so it might be getting out there in certain circles, but there's still a vast audience for which this is a novel concept that meat isn't a dietary villain and that it can actually restore planetary health, which it can. Certain types absolutely can. So yeah, we just eight episodes later, the episodes are around 20 minutes, but it goes into the history of meat demonization, and a lot of it's tied to religion, right?
Yeah.
And entrepreneurial things. Crisco, the sale of Crisco. I mean, it's a fascinating story. So that's episode 1. And then we break down the science of saturated fat, why it's not dangerous. The historical significance of meat is episode 3. Vegan diet is episode 4. And then we get into kind of my dissertation and how it can help the planet, what regenerative ag looks like, and then what the difference is in if you get it from a pasture-based system or a feedlot. What are the human health implications of that? And
And
then labeling. Yeah.
where can people find this? Because we're definitely going to be tweeting and posting about this when the time comes.
Hey, Lucy, I'll send you all the episodes now, but we will just share it. We will probably just share it on YouTube for right now.
Cool.
We're just going to get it out there because I just think it's really, really important and really fascinating. So there's over 55 experts in it, like Dr. Mark Hyman, Jane Buxton, I mean, Dr. Gabrielle Lyon. Good, great little crew. Really excited, but I'll share it all with you. I didn't even tell you that.
Congratulations. So now I guess I have to call you Dr. Autumn Smith.
No, you don't. Oh man, I know.
Yes, I do. She's a doctor, ladies
Oh, I
and
know.
gentlemen. We were just talking about it, but one of my questions that I had written down was, what does a cheat day look like for you?
Oh my gosh, this is so interesting. And it's really shifted even just in the last year. Before, my favorite food, if I like really I didn't take
Let loose.
yeah, and didn't take nutritional value into consideration, it's nachos. It's nachos.
Okay.
So that's what I had for my birthday. We had a nacho bar, we had the cheese, we had the meat, we had the olives, and it was
Your football birthday party?
my He will be so mad if you suggest that it wasn't all about me. But
I could
yes.
shut you up with your nachos.
And you know what? And I think I learned this from JLo, and I give this credit to her, and I don't know if this is accurate, but and I always 3 bites of whatever I want.
3 bites.
3 bites, because the maximum amount of pleasure is going to be in the first few anyway. And then it kind of dies off after that. And then you're not going to overdo it. It's like, and then you're not going to feel restricted. So it's like, if I am out and I like, oh, that dessert looks great, I'm not going to like, I can't do it. I'm just going to have 3 bites and I'm going to let it be 3 bites. And so I don't even usually like eat cake anymore. I just have a bite here and there. It's my life. Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
I see how that works.
Yeah, it's been really good because now, even on my birthday, I could have a piece of cake, but I usually have 3 bites
Yeah.
and of whatever I want. And it feels really good. I feel great the next day.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
Yeah. It's like removing the binge.
Yeah. Yeah. And that restriction, it's like, no, I get to taste that. I can have that. And I can have it for the maximal part of its enjoyment, right? Because like the 28th bite, it's not the same.
No,
No.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't. Yeah, you're right. And I think that energy of binge is like so devastating to our lives, and it's kind of what we've moved away from the former selves for both of us, is that binge mentality, and like that's a desperation.
Say control. That is, you're trying to control something. And when we're trying to control food, it's like there's a biological requirement for it. It's like designed to want a sweet taste. So you're fighting your very biology. And yes, it can get hijacked. But yeah, I think when you're binging, do you know one of the best tricks to get out of the binging cycle?
No, what? 3 bites.
Well, yeah, that actually prevents it. I would say that would be a preventative effort because you're never going to feel so restricted. Now you can binge because you're restricting in other areas of your life, right? So it's not, but it's called something called ritualize the binge. And it's when you binge, you're stressed, right? You're in this stress state. And so what you have to do to stop that cycle is relax. And so if you're like, okay, I'm going to binge, just go, okay, we're doing this. I'm going to light some candles. I'm going to get my favorite bowl. I'm going to sit there and I'm going to be present to every bite. I'm going to be present for this experience because binging is checking out. We're checking out. We're stressed. We're just eating. Yeah. And so when you stop and become aware and present, you disrupt that pattern. And it's very, very helpful, called ritualizing the binge. It's something I learned from Mark David, and he's like a food psychology guru, but definitely really helpful. It's just you can't do it in a very conscious state. It becomes something different just because of that level of awareness,
Yeah, because when I binge, I just black out and I don't even remember it.
Exactly. And if you can just stop and say, okay, today I'm going to eat the thing. I'm not going to tell myself I can't, but I'm going to do it and be present. Yeah, it's different.
That's fascinating. Something else I want to ask you is, I know for me, when I expanded my career from just being an actor, and this happened for me because COVID gave me a pause in life, which it did for all of us. I moved into new directions and away from what I had always been defined by through my ego, which was an actress and a musician, and nothing else. And it had to be that. And anything else meant that I had given up and I was a loser and a failure. When I expanded into my coaching work, it was a massive and very, very painful ego death for me. And I'm wondering if that happened for you when you moved from your dancing and your Tracy Anderson days into what you're doing now, not only your businesses, but leaving LA completely and moving. Was there ego death involved in all of that to allow that expansion?
Gosh, I think that there was. Yeah, definitely. Because I suddenly felt, oh, right. Like what I'm doing isn't important. People don't want to hear about it. People aren't like fascinated because I'm not working with celebrities. And that had its moments. It was hard in moments. But what I realized is I liked talking about my job more than I liked executing my job. And that's a problem because at the end of the day, right? No one really cares what you're doing. And my day to day wasn't joyful. It was hard. It was very, very hard and grueling. And so I had to just keep reminding myself that, because Chaz sat me down again and said, when you wake up in the morning, what would bring you joy? What would you be excited to do? And it's learning, it's studying, it's helping other people. So, yeah, there was ego death, but there was also such joy just in what I was doing that it wasn't as bad as I think that it could have been, but definitely some of it. Yeah, like, you don't have the same conversations, you don't feel as relevant. And for a minute that's hard. And then going into motherhood, and boy, do you really feel you know what I mean? As a new mother, you realize, oh man, my heydays it's behind me. So there was a lot of ego death in like the last decade.
Wow.
But honestly, I think I'm much better off for it. And at the end of the day, we all just need to do what brings us joy, and that will bring the world joy in a different way, right? But if you're not happy doing something that other people like to hear about, that's no way to live your life. So, yeah, there was ego death, but ultimately, I think I found a far better path that I cannot wait until Monday. Like, honestly, I love my son, I love the weekends, but I am so excited for Mondays. And that's how I want to live my life.
I'm the same. I mean, the joy I have in what I'm doing now is unbelievable. And that's part of why I get up at 4 a.m. every day, because I cannot wait to go to work on my business.
Oh my gosh, I know. And you know what our ads, like somebody would be like, you went from J-Lo to beefsteak? And it's like, I know it sounds ridiculous, right? But for me, it's like there is just something in me that finds this fascinating and like uniquely inspiring. So yeah, I did. And I'm not feeling bad about it.
And the path is quite bizarre, like
Yeah.
what it brings you back around to. And you notice that it brings you back into the same cycles, but in different ways. Like what's meant for you is yours no matter what. For instance, like as an actress, I spent literally years trying to get to a specific, the most famous actor slash director in the entire entertainment industry. Years trying to get to this person with my script, right? Never could do it. Through my teaching, which is something I was so fucking embarrassed about. Like,
Hmm.
I wouldn't tell anyone I was doing it. I was so embarrassed. I felt like it meant that I had given up and I was a loser, all that stuff. He becomes a client of mine. And now every week I'm in his kitchen with him, and I'm not going to pitch him my script because it's not appropriate. But now I know him on a personal level, and you just go, what the fuck?
Yeah. Isn't it crazy? I know. I feel like it's just like wherever that fire is, just follow that, right? You
My,
got to just follow
yeah.
that.
The thing that was the most painful for me to walk through and become has brought me back around to my desires that have been there all along. So now as a coach, I'm working with the top people in the world. Like, and it cracks me up because I'm like, how did I get here? It's like insane.
Oh, and I have a level of success in so many ways that I would have never achieved, right? I was always kind of like working towards someone else's goal in my former life. And yeah, and I'm like, now I have freedom and what I want, what I wanted to create in the world. So yeah,
It's wild. One of my clients is the head of one of the top television studios in the business.
of course.
Well, I took general meetings with to try to get a job like for years. Now I coach him and his daughter,
Oh
and
my
they're calling me in for acting roles.
God. That's wild.
Wow. So it's like that's what that my message to people, and I'm sure yours is too, is to not think of it as a cutoff or a switch, but to reframe that for yourself to view it as an expansion of your life's work.
Yes.
I haven't stopped anything or cut it off. I've just expanded into my higher potential.
Exactly. And like whatever you feel excited about, like go with that because that inspires other people and that will create opportunity and that will help you build something. Rather than worrying about what other people think is cool or what other people want you to do. Or I had so many, even my mom and my sister were like, "Oh, I wouldn't quit working with JLo if I were you." And I was like, "Well, I'm gonna do it. Wish me luck." And I did, and I was grateful for that opportunity, but my day to day, I'm so much happier. My life is so much, like you said, more expansive. I'm just like in my element
Yeah.
in a way I never was there. So,
That's the last thing I want to ask you about is as fellow entrepreneurs here, I want to know because I'm loving being an entrepreneur. Like I'm loving it. The sky's the limit. Like we are at the beginning of what we're going to create in the rest of our lives on the paths that we're on. And I'm interested to know what you find most exciting about being the CEO of your companies, and also what you find the most challenging.
Oh, yeah. Technically, Chaz is our CEO, but I do all of our education and all of that. But what I find the most exciting is a day when nobody doesn't understand how powerful food is and how you literally create your brain, you create every cell in your body, and you can take your health back. Like 2/3 of us are overweight or obese. I mean, I just heard a stat that like over 70% of the people turning up for the military are unfit for military service, right? The youth, our son, he gets made fun of because he eats healthy food. And, like I look forward, and it's inspiring that we can turn this all around and people can be healthy again. And once people are healthy again, they feel good, they create these beautiful lives. But if we don't have our health, that's all we're wishing for, and that's all we're trying to achieve. So I just look forward to playing a small role in that educational process that brings people back to themselves and to what they ultimately could create if they felt well enough. So that's very exciting for me. What's challenging? Oh man, is just the day to day. We're on a roller coaster. As an entrepreneur, we have many, many manufacturing facilities. Just the other day, we had a machine being delivered, and it just crashed. It's just like, so many thousands of dollars and so many expectations and so many timelines and so many products and so many subscriptions. And Chaz and I have adopted this too, is like every time something really bad happens, we have to say, oh, how is this going to work for us? Because it always does. There's always some way that it turns out better. Also, it's wonderful to work with family, but also, can be challenging only because you feel like so responsible for so many people. But it's good, but ultimately, yeah, you feel if you have an off day or whatever, there's just a little bit of pressure there. You can't control everything, and working with family is much better than the challenges because you're building together, you're winning together. So yeah, I would never change anything about it. I'm very inspired by everything that we do. The challenges are far outweighed by the amount of joy and that we get from just working together, being a wife and husband team and family-based team, and making, like you said, a small impact. That feels good. We're gonna maybe move into retail, and we're just gonna see how big we can make this thing and how many people we can help. But it's very challenging.
Yeah, it's not.
I don't want to give any delusion that it's not. It's a wild ride. It's a wild ride.
Yeah. Wow. All right. So what do we need to make sure that people know about? Where can they get connected to you? What should they look out for? And
well, Lucy, I'm going to get you a code. How does that sound? And we'll give you a discount. Paleovalley.
Everybody, you're VIPs now. You made it.
Yeah, Lucy Walsh. And for Wild Pastures and wildpastures.com, that regenerative meat delivery service. And then Paleovalley is all the products. And then the restaurant, if you're in Boulder or Denver area, come visit. And Lucy, come to our house soon. That's my final request.
You better heat the spa for us.
I will. We'll each have our 45-minute block of silence. We'll schedule it out.
And tell us what the restaurant's called again in Boulder.
Wild Pastures Burger Company. And it's like no sugar in there, all based on regenerative egg, organic ingredients, house-made sauces, all the things. It's no seed oils. It's good stuff.
All right. Well, we're going to get listeners the code for your products, and they're just the best, everybody. I'm obsessed. It's changed my life. Autumn, I love you so much. It was so much fun to talk to you and learn some things we've never had a chance to ask each other before. So thank you for your time.
Yeah, like I said, one of my favorite humans. You're one of the best ones. So thanks for having me.
Dr. Autumn.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Dr. Autumn Smith, ladies and gentlemen. In front of her. Of course your books are color-coded, bitch.
Yeah, do you like those?
Time to beautifully color code your books. I can't do that.
I know. It's a little bit of an OCD thing, I'd say. Yeah, just like maybe a little telling back there, but yeah, Lucy, this was amazing. Thank you.
How amazing was that? Thank you so much for listening. Don't forget you have your exclusive podcast listener discount at paleovalley.com. The link is in the show notes. Get over to their website, get your 15% exclusive discount. We thank Dr. Autumn so much for that. You can connect with Autumn right now on Instagram, Autumn Fladmo Smith and Paleo Valley, both in the show notes below. Also, please rate, review, like, follow this podcast, and get over to lucywalsh.com for the Piano Prodigy course and the monthly membership series happening right now. Love you all so much. Mwah.